Good morning. Our hand today is going to be ace-9 of diamonds. In this hand, we have an early position player raises 3 big blinds. He's playing 50-43. I've got 31 hands on him, but he has played his raise first in's been right at about 60% here for early position players. So this guy's playing pretty loose. I'm going to say this is 50% here. I mean, very wide, very, very wide range. And it folds around to me. I've got ace-9 suited is in a 3-bet or call range. I think we probably should have 3-bet this. I think it might do better as a 3-bet here because we could raise, and then if he 4-bets, we can dump it, or we can call. I just think if we call, we have to have a plan going forward. And I think with this hand, I know that I am hoping to either flop diamonds. I think if an ace flops, I might be good because villain has so many ace X hands. He has all those offsuit ones. The other thing that I'm thinking about is if the flop comes like middle cards, that might actually help me a little bit. However, a lot of those middle cards are also going to be helping villain. So I think if we can raise and get him to fold a lot of these middle cards, then we open up opportunity of attacking when the flop brings middle cards and possibly winning without ever having to hit a hand or make a hand or anything like that. So I kind of feel like we missed a 3-bet here. I called, and the flop is 8-2-3. So this is exactly the type of middle card, low card flop that I'm thinking about. If I raise and I get villain to fold a lot of these weak hands, then he really shouldn't have connected with this board at all. He could connect with clubs, yes. Could connect with an 8. I think he probably would have some 8s if I 3-bet in his range, but and of course he could have like ace-2, ace-3 in his range, but I don't think he's going to have all of these hands down here that could connect at all. So I think this is going to be a board that we check, and villain bets 2.26, bets about 1/3 pot. What do I think he's betting this with? Well, he's got his c-bet in positions 100%, but he's only had one opportunity, and he made that c-bet. So I'm going to say this is probably a board that he's going to be c-betting on nearly 100% here. I don't see why he wouldn't, because the board, I mean, he's just being loose, he's being aggressive here. I don't see why he wouldn't bet 100%. So his entire range is 100%, and then it comes back to me, and yeah, I've got 2 overs, but I think this is probably a hand we just fold. Board didn't connect with us. It feels weak that we're folding, but I think if we raise, or if we call, we're hoping for, I mean, what are we hoping for? Maybe a club so that we could kind of represent the flush. I mean, that could be a plan. If an ace comes, we probably will be calling down with that ace. If a 9 comes, we're probably going to be calling down, or at least making a play at the pot with the top pair type hands. Our chances of improving are actually pretty small. And I think when we look at our overall hand ranges, I think it does better if we have like 2-card backdoor equity, 2-card backdoor flush draws, maybe even, the lone club. So, if we had ace of clubs and say jack, ace of clubs, jack of hearts, or something like that, I think that might be also a better hand to play. With ace-9, we don't have any diamond draws. We don't really have any backdoor straight draws to think of. I just don't think we have enough to fall back on to continue with this hand. Is that what I did? No, I actually check raised it. And I'm going to probably think that I'm check raising this because I don't think this hits the board. However, I think at the time I didn't consider how wide his range was. I mean, this is a massive range. It's likely that he's connected. Yes, he has a lot of hands that did not connect. Do I think those hands are going to fold? Do I think like his overcards are going to fold? Oh, that's a big question. So let's say we've got 100% here, and we make a raise. What kind of hands are going to call us for that raise? Well, I'm going to take out that no-made hand. A player like this, bottom pair, yeah, these bottom pairs, ace 2, king 2, you've got a big hand. So that way, if an ace or king, they just hit 2 pair, and yeah, I think he calls with those. Same thing with the threes. And those bottom ones, you can see like the 4-3, 5-3, those have, you know, backdoor straight potential. So I think he's probably calling those. The 4s, 5s, 6s, and 7s, probably calling once just to see what I do on the turn, and then probably giving up on the turn if he doesn't improve. Again, 4s and 5s have backdoor straight potential. Top pairs, I think, are calling. Over pairs are calling. All of that. So we're looking at these folding 15%, basically. That's he's got, if he calls with all of his overcards. If he doesn't call with all of his overcards, then he's going to be folding like 49%, 48.5%, which now makes the check raise doable. But a loose player like this might actually call since he has money in the pot. I mean, based on his looseness, and the fact that he has position, yeah, he might aim to get rid of it. So if I think he's going to be calling with the overcards, this is a bad check raise. He's not going to be folding enough. If I think he gives up his overcards, then I think this could be a valid check raise. We get him to fold. So let's go under the assumption that he does fold his overcards. And he calls. So we'll go under the assumption that he folds his overcards. What kind of, what was my range with the check raise? Again, I think on this, I think nut flush draw, we could check raise. Open-ended straight, maybe, if we have it part of flush draw. I think our sets could be a check raise. Probably sets of 2s and 3s are check raises. I wouldn't do 8s. I would leave 8s in like a calling range because I want him to have the possibility of having that top pair hand. So I think 2s and 3s make for good check raises. The 8s, I think, probably just put that in our check call range. So not thrilled. I think we missed our raise pre-flop, and not super thrilled with 3-bet or with the check raise, but we tried it. All right, 6 of diamonds comes out, and I think that kind of, if villain calls with overcards, I think this helps because now there's no overcard. I think he can't call anymore. Any more bets with that. So if he had all those overcards, that was 85% of his range or something like that. Now, on this card, if we bet, he's going to be, I think, folding all of those, other than flush draws. Does this card help us with our check raise? Yeah, it doesn't really change anything. We could have 8-9, we could have 8-7, we could have our club draw. 4-5, I think, could be a possibility if we check raise that. Definitely if it's a 4-5 of clubs. Ace-4, Ace-5 still doesn't really change anything. I don't really think we have 9-7. I don't think it makes sense to check raise with 9-7 unless we've lost it and we just want to be super aggressive versus this guy. But I think overall the 6 doesn't really change anything. So if we're ahead, we're probably still going to be ahead. If we bet with our check raise, I think we would still bet with our nut flush draw. We would still bet with our sets. So what did I do? I fired out 13.68, a little bit more than half the pot. I think that's consistent if we had trips. two pair. I think maybe two pair if we had a 2-3, but I don't really think we have many 2-3s if we have any 2-3s at all on this board. And I don't think ace-2 or ace-3 makes sense for a check raise. So we're either with our flush or with trips. And villain 7 calls. So against this raise, I think at this point he's probably calling top pair plus. I think 7s could fold unless he doesn't believe us. Same thing with the middle pair. If he doesn't believe us, he's going to call. Gut shot probably is calling. Both the 1 card and 2 card gut shots probably going to be calling here. Flush draws are probably calling. Yeah, so we'll leave like the 7, these pairs as part of the draws. So that's 81%. If he doesn't do the gut shots, then he's continuing 59%. So I don't think we're going to have a whole lot of folds here. I think I could probably size down, and I probably should have sized down a little bit to like half pot to save a little bit, because I don't think he's going to be folding, or based on this analysis, I don't think he's folding enough. 8 of hearts hits. Missed all the draws. So at this point, if we bet, what do I think he's going to call? I think the overpairs are probably going to call overpair plus. I don't know if any of the weaker pairs are going to call. So he's folding 49% of the time. I think we can fire a half pot bet and expect to win. I think he folds, and again, it just kind of depends on what he thinks we have. The 8 hits us if we had top pair. If he thinks we're going to be check raising with top pair, this does help us. So, if that's the case and we bet, we're hoping he folds. Well, if we have the 8, we're going for some value, and I think the overpair could call. So out of the times that he calls, 31% we beat. And then the 3 of a kind just kind of depends on the kicker. So what did I do? I fired out the bet. I think this is the only way to win. So I think my bet's fine, and he calls. And at that point, I think he's got at least a pair or an 8. I show ace-9. He shows 8-9. So he had the 8-9. That was definitely in his range here. I think it made sense for him to call. I think we kind of got unlucky that he actually had the hand. But I think there's mistakes on my part. Yeah, we were being aggressive, but I think we missed out on the check raise pre-flop. Not check raise. I think the 3-bet pre-flop. I think that's what we should have done. Would he have called with a hand like this? Maybe. Yeah, maybe. And if he calls with a hand like that, then when we look at this board, we bet and he calls. I think we could be done with the hand, and then we could just stop there. So we would lose maybe 20 big blinds at most, probably 20 big blinds. We didn't. We just called. So then, do I like the check raise? I don't like the check raise. Not for a loose player like this. I think it kind of comes down to those overcards. Do we think he's going to have the overcards or not? But then the flip side is, what am I representing with my check raise? Does this board, the 8-2-3, really connect with my range and allow me to check raise? And I don't, as we kind of went through my range, I don't really think so. I think the hands that we're looking at check raising are 2-3, which we probably don't have, ace, trip 2s, trip 3s, which we could have, and the flush draw, the club draw, especially specifically like the nut flush draw, the ace X clubs hands, maybe like the king X clubs hands, like a king queen king jack of clubs, king 10 of clubs. I think those are probably the only hands. And then if those are the hands, when you see the run out, only 2s and 3s are really going to improve. I mean, I could easily have busted club draw, and it just is going to encourage him to call with pairs all the way. Now, I think he has all those overcards, so at some point he's going to fold. And the fact that he didn't fold makes me think that now this, the river was kind of a bad bet. It would just be done with the hand. I took the stab, and of course, we could look at it. Well, that 8, I could have had a top pair, but would I really check raise with the 8? And I don't think so. So I think there's mistakes done in this hand. We did get unlucky that he had the 9-8, but I think overall there were mistakes in the hand that cost me money, and we just have to learn. We can't just blindly check raise because we don't think the board hit the opponent. We have to be able to check raise and have hands in our range that are believable to match that check raise. So hopefully you enjoyed this hand. If you did, look tomorrow for another one.